Welcome to the American Roundtable. I'm Al Spry.
I'm Drea.
We have all kinds of stuff relating to the president and the talk of impeachment on today's show. Plus, we'll be looking at the opening of some archives relating to JFK's assassination. All kinds of stuff happening on the American Roundtable, which is, of course, your insight into what's going on in politics, etc., etc. We're getting into the tough zone. And you know, when we get into the tough zone, all kinds of things happen. You know what I'm talking about, Drea Doll?
No.
I'm telling you that you're just being coy. All kinds of things come out. We're going to be talking about it, giving you our own unique perspective at your half-hour political power. And we are here to give it to you, the straight dope, every weekday morning. Sunday mornings at 9. Soon it will be every weekday morning. This is American Roundtable. So happy to be here with you. Check us out on Facebook. Facebook.com/USA Roundtable.
No one.
It's the American Roundtable here on Tough TV 38 and Tough TV. Well, let's talk about Roger Stone. Of course, one of our favorite people on the American Roundtable is Roger Stone. He'll be appearing with us soon. He's a hot commodity. There was a movie that came out about him last year called Get Me Roger Stone, about how he had a big part in creating the present Trump presidency. So Roger Stone is being quoted recently as saying, basically, basically briefly, anyone that votes to impeach Trump will be in danger, is the basic idea. He did little to calm America's overheated political debate and climate. He actually made this comment to TMZ. So number one, great job, Roger, getting on TMZ. Number two, he said, any attempt to impeach President Trump would cause violence like America has never seen before, and any politician who votes for it would, quote, endanger their own life, unquote. Quote, the people who are calling for impeachment are the people who didn't vote for him, meaning Trump. They need to get over it, unquote. Also, Stone, who advised the campaign for its very beginning, you could call him, in effect, the kingmaker of President Trump, said, quote, they lost. Their candidate had every advantage. They spent $2 billion. We spent $275 million. Sorry, we whipped their A. It's over. You lost.
Sore losers.
And then he said, this is not 1974. Stone, of course, who served in the Nixon administration. Try to impeach him, says Roger Stone. Just try it. You will have a spasm of violence, an insurrection in this country like you have never seen before. Both sides are heavily armed, my friend, unquote. Stone said he wasn't advocating violence, was not advocating it, only predicting it. Some House Democrats have been pushing for impeachment, though Democratic leaders have been more cautious, calling for an independent commission to investigate Trump's Russia ties instead. Now, you not got to know, Drea Doll, impeachment is a political decision.
Yes, and there are no Russia ties. It's been forever. They can't find anything. It's time to let it go.
Well, I do believe that we do need the investigation just so that people don't think there's a cover-up, but I don't think they're going to find anything, personally speaking.
Haven't they been investigating this whole time?
They've been investigating since probably right around the time he took office. So we'll keep an eye on this, of course, but it's quite an interesting story and quite an interesting insight from good old Roger Stone, who was just up here a couple months ago doing an event. We had a chance to talk with him on a one-on-one basis, me and, of course, the wonderful Bill Strickler. And we'll keep you abreast of everything as it happens.
They're sore losers.
This is American Roundtable on Tough TV and Tough TV 38. Welcome back to the American Roundtable. So happy to have you here, the beautiful Drea Doll. I am a lucky man to be working with such a beautiful and insightful individual. Let's talk about how Donald Trump is fed up. You know, he's fed up again.
Oh, he's always fed up.
That's right. This time he's fed up with, supposedly, rumor has it, Rex Tillerson. Could he be the next name banished from President Trump's inner circle? All I know is calls for the Secretary of State's head are growing louder in the White House. Trump has grown increasingly frustrated with Tillerson. The nation's top diplomat didn't do his cause any benefit by drawing a line between America's values, quote unquote, and the president's. Speaking on Fox News about the deadly violence in Charlottesville, Tillerson said, per the Washington Post, "I don't believe anyone doubts the American people's values or the U.S. government's commitment to defending them." When host Chris Wallace asked whether Tillerson was separating himself from Trump's comments, which included blaming many sides for the fighting, Tillerson responded, "The president speaks for himself." Now let's turn a little bit to Kathy Griffin. You're not a big fan.
No.
Now you remember, of course, a few months ago, Kathy Griffin made a lot of headlines. She held up a President Trump head that's bloodied with a neck cut off and took a picture saying, "I want Trump's head in effect. It's supposed to be shock art." She got into a lot of trouble.
Nobody wants your head, Kathy.
She had to apologize. Well, she did. But now she's unapologized.
Of course.
Get this.
She's on the left.
Now, her quote, of course, when she apologized was, "I beg for your forgiveness. I went too far." This was after she got her New Year's Eve show canceled, the one that she did with her now estranged friend Anderson Cooper. They're no longer friends, by the way. We'll get to that. But went too far, disposing what appeared to be the head of Trump. What a difference only 3 months makes, however. The comedian recently did an about-face on Australian TV. Smart. She didn't go on American TV because, of course, it would have created another whole uproar. And she said, quote, "I'm no longer sorry." In her appearance on the show Sunrise, she continued, quote, "The whole outrage was BS. The whole thing got so blown out of proportion. I made an apology, and now in light of all the crazy stuff that he and his administration are doing, he's unhinged." USA Today reports the show's host asked Griffin if she still thought she went too far, and her reply was unequivocal. Quote, "No, you're full of CRAP, stop this, stop acting like my little picture is more important than talking about the actual atrocities that the President of the United States is committing." As for which atrocities she was actually referring to, she called out Joe Arpaio's pardon. How is that an atrocity? I don't know. Also said that she also Trump's call for transgender military ban. Obviously, she's getting advised by her advisors to.
Does
this
anyone
is the
listen
time.
to Kathy Griffin if she's not doing something ridiculous?
I don't know. What's her shtick? I haven't watched her in years.
I have no idea except for her surgeries.
She has a lot of them, right?
Yeah, but not good doctors. They couldn't remove her head from her.
Well, why don't you like her?
She's horrible. Who would hold anyone's head like that?
Like, you mean like this or,
Yeah.
or like this?
Well, all of it.
Well, all I got to say is, Kathy Griffin, you have also angered Anderson Cooper. The 17-year friendship with Anderson Cooper is kaput.
This is one time I like Anderson Cooper.
In an extensive interview with The Cut after the fallout from the photo shoot, a comedian reveals that while 4 of Cooper's colleagues at CNN contacted her to check in after she was dumped from the New Year's Eve thing, she heard nothing from Cooper himself. Then multiple interviews, Cooper claimed he and Griffin were still friends, but she's still not hearing from him. What does that tell you? Friends or no friends, Drea Dahl?
Friends. He publicly defended her, but maybe privately he was a little mad because what she did was ridiculous.
So you think they're still
She's a
friends? He's just laying low.
Not a politician.
Yeah. Well, of course, a Cooper source tells The Cut he was simply, quote, not ready to talk to her personally about the photo because he was, quote, so shocked and upset, but he still considered her to be a friend and was publicly supportive when asked about the controversy. And there you go. Kathy Griffin doing an about face. Drea, do you think this is going to work in her favor? Do you think people are going to forget and they're going to forgive Kathy Griffin, she'll get her show back and everything will be well?
There's a reason why she's in Australia on TV.
That's true. Australia is probably the only place that would put her on. Well, anyway, this is American Roundtable. We have so much more in store for you, but, my take on Kathy Griffin is,
She's ugly.
who cares? We'll have more in this in a moment. Check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/USA Roundtable.
This is the American Roundtable. I'm Drea Dahl.
And I'm Al Spry. So happy to hear you here and have you here every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. on Tough TV all over the country. It's great to be here with you. Taylor Swift is making news, but maybe not for the reason she wants. She's got this new thing, a scheme, a plan, a Ponzi scheme perhaps? It seems a little suspect. She's working with Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster, as you know, has a lock on tickets, like
Right.
this, like a stranglehold on tickets. Years ago, different bands were banding together to try to get them to lower their fees, lower prices. Pearl Jam is a good example of this. Well, Taylor Swift is now using Ticketmaster to enrich herself and cut people out of actually seeing her shows by telling them that they can see her shows and trying to, get rid of these scalpers. She's become a scalper, basically. Here's how it works. They've teamed up to ensure that her upcoming tour tickets go to her biggest fans. However, it's not really it. It utilizes Ticketmaster's new verified fan service. Can someone say tiered service? Another word for a tiered service. It asks fans you have to buy Swift merchandise to promote her music on or promote her music on social media to earn boosts to their place in line for tickets. Whereas it used to be very fair. Whoever got in first got it. So now people have to spend, probably hundreds of dollars just to get a better seat for a Taylor Swift concert. And they're paying Taylor. Of course, Ticketmaster gets a cut. They always do. So what they have essentially done is they've alleviated the stress and anxiety of dealing with scalpers by just dealing with Swift. Now, what else do you call someone who charges more than the listed price for a ticket to a concert? She's really doing that. She's only taking the fee separate. Your thoughts, Drea?
Taylor Swift, just because they call you a snake doesn't mean you have to actually be one.
Who calls her a snake?
All these other celebrities. It's like a big thing. That's where all the snake rings and stuff are coming
Is that
from.
what it is? Snake is
Yeah.
not something really nice to be called.
No.
You know,
And I
she's-
love T-Swizzle, but this is very wrong. I mean, now you're just making people buy more. I'd rather pay the higher ticket price than buy a snake ring.
Well, sure. She likes to play with her image. She obviously knows she's she's been known as be very calculating. She kind of learned it from her parents. First she was a country star, and then she's very opportunistic. And
This is making her a mean girl, like they call
it
her.
kind of almost is. Because look, any fans who pre-order Reputation for boosts and want to actually get in on the day it's released, this is her album, have to pay a $48 shipping charge.
There goes your reputation.
So it sounds like Best Buy with the water, with the gouging that we talked about on an earlier show. But then there's the fact that her fans are encouraged to buy multiple copies of Reputation to get more boosts.
Awesome.
You don't need just one copy of Reputation.
At $48 shipping.
Why don't you get
handling.
4
Is she
or
bringing
5?
it herself for $48 shipping?
So basically, at this thing called Paste, Hannah Fleming notes the system's obviously skewed with the benefit of fans who actually have a lot of money. Quote, wealthy Sally can purchase the album up to 13 times and get the golden ticket, but poor Sally could just watch the video an infinite number of times and post on social media, but frankly, she doesn't really stand a very good chance against rich Sally.
So you have to buy several copies of the same album?
Or buy other merchandise that she sells, and it's just a way to kind of, it's a scam. It sounds like a scam. I think, in my opinion, it is. I don't think it's very fair to people that don't have a lot of dough, and you're giving them basically worse seats. So
That's horrible.
yeah, it's
Way to be a mean girl.
and they're framing it like it's being a way for Ticketmaster to weed out the bots and the spammers and the scammers when they themselves have just taken over the business. But one thing to have fans register and be vetted as non-scalpers before they buy tickets, that would be the way to do it. This instead is getting people to buy merchandise. One item is a $60 snake ring plated with 14 or 24 karat gold. So basically, shame on you, Taylor Swift.
The
I
old
think you're very
Taylor's
talented.
dead.
I like your music, but this is not fair. Let's be fair to the fans. What do you think?
Well, she said in her new song, the old Taylor's dead. Guess so.
I
Thanks.
don't think I like the new Taylor.
Me neither.
I'm not happy with this. Anyway, we'll have more for you on the American Roundtable on Tough TV and Tough TV 38. Welcome back to the American Roundtable. It's interesting about Taylor Swift. Now, I like Katy Perry. You, of course, are not a Katy Perry fan either, but you're more of a Swift fan.
Yes. I
So
love
now what?
Taylor.
What happens? Swift goes down a little bit. Will Katy Perry go back up a little bit or what?
Taylor Swift needs to fix this because the scalpers can afford to buy your album 400 times. The rest of us cannot.
Well, let's turn to politics and Trump's pardoning of Sheriff Joe. Sheriff Joe Arpaio is 85 now, I believe. He's one of the most favorite sons of Arizona. I mean, this guy's been around since I was a kid. And he's the guy who bought the pink outfits for the inmates to wear, and he makes them do the hard labor, and he has this immigration policy. And, yeah, he's tough. He's very tough. But President Trump, he defended his pardon of Joe Arpaio. He actually pardoned him. I thought the charge was a little bit trumped up, no pun intended. But he basically had him on contempt charge or something for stopping illegal immigrants, which isn't that what he's supposed to do? But anyway, President Trump defended his pardon of Arpaio, a move that has drawn ire on both sides of the political aisle. The controversial former Arizona sheriff is, quote, very strong on borders, very strong on illegal immigration, Trump said. He's loved in Arizona, that's a quote. I thought he was treated unbelievably unfairly. And he added that he purposely pardoned Arpaio during Hurricane Harvey because he assumed the ratings would be far higher than they would normally for his announcement of the pardon. The Washington Post notes, on the contrary, the timing of Trump's announcement seemed to be an attempt at a classic news dump as the nation focused on the impending storm, which is really the truth. This is actually the time you would do something like that because everybody's attention is elsewhere. Sheriff Joe is a patriot, according to Donald Trump. Sheriff Joe loves our country.
Sheriff Joe love him.
Sheriff Joe protected our borders, and Sheriff Joe was very unfairly treated by the Obama administration, according to the president. I stand by my pardon of Joe Arpaio, and I think the people of Arizona, who really know him, would best agree with me. He also noted then President Bill Clinton pardoned Mark Rich, the husband of a big donor, and suggested that then President Barack Obama may have pardoned Chelsea Manning, but in actuality, Obama only commuted Manning's sentence. At the same press conference, Trump declined to name Russia as a security threat. So that's it. And one other aside, Arpaio actually may have political ambitions. I don't think he's going to be sheriff anymore, but watch if he doesn't run for senator.
He's 85.
He's still got a lot of gas in the tank. This is the American Roundtable on Tough TV 38 and Tough TV. We'll see you for some final thoughts after this. Welcome back to the American Roundtable. Some final thoughts, Drea Dahl, on newly released JFK files. Recently, over 3,800 CIA and FBI documents related to the assassination of our former president, John F. Kennedy, who was assassinated, obviously murdered in 1963, were released finally to the public. So we're talking about some 64 years later. To put the release in context, I mean, that's a pretty long time, right? I mean, usually you don't wait this long to release documents. But this all started with the JFK Assassination Records Collection Act, which came out of the Oliver Stone film of the same name, JFK, which came out around 1991. After the media, there was a media firestorm around the film, right? And people in Congress who thought Oswald acted alone said, let's open the files and show everybody. And those in Congress who thought it was a conspiracy said, let's open the files and we'll show everybody it's a conspiracy. So for different reasons, everybody said, yeah, let's open the files. But the upshot of it was the CIA and the FBI and other government agencies were no longer allowed to make the decision about what could be released and what couldn't. They would have to go through this Assassination Records and Archives Review Board. It was 5 civilians that had never worked in government. So basically, this is actually an early release, Drea. It's about 3 months early. What do you think of this release of documents? What do you think they're going to find?
I'm all for the release, but I don't think they're going to find anything different. The reason why is the same people that allegedly would have covered it up or made the conspiracy are going to be the ones that wrote this report.
Yeah, I got you, right?
So it's not going to have anything.
Although a lot of people probably think these would never have been released if it wasn't for the Oliver Stone movie. I mean.
Well, good. I'm glad they're getting released, but I just think people are going to be disappointed. It's not going to say anything else. If it was a cover-up, it's going to be covered up in these documents.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, everybody involved in the that would have been involved, have this been a conspiracy, which many people think, including myself. I don't know what your thoughts are.
I think it was a conspiracy.
Basically, they're either dead or they're like 95 or 96. So I guess this would be the time to actually examine these documents, see if there's anything connecting. I don't think we're going to see a smoking gun here, folks. Don't get your hopes up too much. I think we're going to see some more circumstantial evidence, maybe things tying maybe a couple of incidents in a little bit more. But
Where's the
as
Jimmy
far as,
Hoffa files?
Yeah, now that would be an interesting read, the Jimmy Hoffa files.
Where is he?
Well, he's you know what they say he is? They say he's buried in the Meadowlands. That's what one person says, that he's buried under one of the uprights at the end of the stadium. We'll never know. This is the American Roundtable. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. I'm Al Spry. Remember to keep it real.
Keep it tough. Thanks for watching.